unfortunate sabbaticals
Yeah.
of the podcast
Of like
world.
podcasts, bands, and stuff like that. Okay. Welcome to Decaf, Beacon Center's weekly podcast. Taylor here, and I'm joined by Justin this week, which means that he's going to be nice to me, I hope.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
I kicked Mark off because I've got like two big things I want to rant
We
about.
have a lot
This
of
is my
ugly
venue.
things to say.
This is true.
So this is like a counseling session as opposed
Dude,
to
I need a
podcast.
couch,
We
like,
just have
therapy.
A lot. Yeah, we're going to have a timer too. Okay, so since the boss man is angry, let's get started. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is Justin got really mad last week because of something that the Braves did. Rather something, I guess,
Well,
that
they
the
didn't
Cardinals
do.
did. Yeah. All right, Justin, let's hear it.
So I've been a Braves fan all my life.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's right. And the Tomahawk Chop has been a thing, especially in the postseason. And they've given out the foam tomahawks every postseason.
Yes.
Until one Cardinals player complains that
just,
he's
like,
offended
unbelievable.
by it. And that's why we lost 13-1 in Game 5 of the NLDS.
Honestly, he needs to get over it. Okay, this is part of playing the game. You're offended by the tomahawk chop? Like,
Well,
is this a joke?
this notion that mascots and actions like the Tomahawk Chop are meant to be offensive is preposterous. You make a mascot to lift it up and to like applaud it,
Seriously.
and it's a good thing.
I have been wearing, I grew up in Anniston, an hour away from Atlanta. We were always huge Braves fans. I had little baby onesies with the Braves
is
tomahawk
awesome.
on it. Like, it's been around forever and ever, and we're only just now choosing
One
to be
guy.
offended.
Only one guy.
That is so frustrating. So when Justin first got mad about this, he was blowing up my phone during the game because he was so upset. And my favorite thing was he came up with alternate team names for trigger culture.
Right.
So if we're going to get triggered over things, we're going to help you guys out. To those of you out there who get very upset. Justin, what are we going to start calling some of these offensive teams?
Well, let's think about a few. The New York Yankees is offensive. They're
Triggered.
offensive anyway, but
trigger warning for everyone listening, first of all, before you start
That's
saying
true.
the actual names. Trigger warning. Okay,
That's
so
true.
the New York Yankees, what are they going to be called now?
they need to be like the New York people north of the Mason-Dixon line,
Right,
because you
that
can't
is
say Yankees.
So much better, and my blood pressure has gone down significantly.
In
since
fact,
you
my
said that.
blood pressure went up higher when I found out about the Tomahawk Chop ban than it did when the Braves lost 10 runs in the first inning.
That tells you
of that
Justin is
game.
not part of trigger culture, which is
That's
great
right.
because I wouldn't work for someone.
I'm like anti-trigger.
Anti-trigger
I
culture.
trigger people.
Yes, that's why I gave everyone a warning before
That's
you
right.
started talking. Okay, my favorite was Notre Dame. What was Notre Dame?
So you can't be the Fighting Irish. That's
No,
offensive
because
to the
that's
Irish.
so offensive.
So the Notre Dame conscious subjector Irish.
Okay, makes
It's a
sense.
good one.
Irish people out there, if you feel that, let us know.
What else do we? The Seattle Seahawks.
Oh yeah,
I
no
mean,
more
that's
of
just.
that. That sounds
What are we,
violent.
Warhawks here?
Yeah,
like
that sounds so violent.
maybe the Peace Birds.
The Peace Birds. That sounds way better. Peace and love to everyone out there. I mean, the Braves aren't brave anymore.
Well, the Braves are everything but brave for kowtowing to one St. Louis Cardinal
It's
of all
literally
teams too.
disgusting.
The worst. Like the
The
Cardinals and the Yankees are the two worst
worst.
teams in baseball. So my Atlanta Braves are now the Atlanta Cowards
Are we
for
gonna
the
make
rest of
shirts?
eternity.
Hey, if you guys want
Let's do
shirts,
it.
let us know.
Well, what can be we can't use a tomahawk, so we need to think of some, like a piece.
It'll have to be a
olive
person
branch.
hiding behind a peace sign. though,
That's true.
Because cowards, we're
That's
afraid
right.
of everything. We can't do anything.
It's
about it.
disgusting.
Well, that's how we feel about that. And good thing
Perfect
we got
timing.
Dinged because we could go on forever and ever. Okay.
I miss the traditional bell now that we
Well,
don't
Mark
actually
messes
have it.
up,
Well,
so,
that's true.
You know. So the next thing I want to talk about, I am pumped about this. There's going to be a presidential debate at Belmont, and I have finally got a chance to protest. I don't know what I'm going to protest, but
We don't even know who's going to be in it.
we don't even
Is
know
it what
who's
year
gonna
is
be in it.
this?
Yeah, it's going to be next year, I think.
Oh, so it is
So
2020.
soon,
Cool.
But I mean, like, I cannot wait to protest.
So it'll be Trump versus, one of the 42.
Biden, Warren,
Yeah.
Any one of them. Here's the thing, though. I have been wanting to protest something for a very long time. And
You do seem like that type.
I really am.
And that's a millennial
It's
thing,
a millennial
too.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to protest. My favorite thing in the entire world was when Trump was going to announce Gorsuch to be his nominee for the Supreme Court, and there were people waiting outside the Supreme Court with fill-in-the-blank protest signs.
That's right.
They didn't know who they were going to protest, but they knew that they were going to protest, and honestly, I hate it so much that I love it. And I just, for one night, want to be part of that culture just to really get the rush of it all.
You know this like gas station signs where you slide in like the letters?
Yes.
That's what you should,
That's what I
instead
should
of a
get.
poster, you should get one of those, and that
That's
way you can
what I
slide
should
in your,
get.
whatever you're protesting
I
about.
just feel
And
like-
if you run out of like S's, you can use a 5,
That would
they
be perfect. perfect. It'll be just exactly like millennials can read it.
That's right.
The whole thing is, I differ so much from the rest of my generation that anything that I would be protesting is probably what people would be out there in support of. And so I'm really worried that I'm going to get stabbed. Like Antifa's going to come for me.
That's possible.
So, like, what should I do? Kevlar vest, risk it, or like stay home?
I think you just roll with it. Like if that's the way you were meant to go, that's the way you're meant to go.
What a story to tell.
That's right.
Headline: Beacon employee run over by angry mob
at the 2020 presidential debate.
Protesting outside.
Protesting like tofu or something.
Yeah,
like who knows what you're gonna.
Gosh, can you imagine? What I thought was really interesting from the debate this week, the Democrats had a primary debate this week, and people were ticked off that they didn't talk about climate change.
Didn't they just have like a whole debate dedicated to that?
Town hall on climate change. And up until last night, up until this week's debate, I read an article on Reason that they had not talked about the budget at all in a single debate.
Of course not, because it's pointless to them. I mean, they're going to spend as much money as they possibly can, giving us free stuff like Oprah. I mean, the platform that they are running on the Oprah platform, get a free whatever. You get a free whatever.
Healthcare for everyone.
Yeah.
And gosh, it's so frustrating. I was listening to a podcast about it this morning, and they were talking about how they literally played a montage of clips of candidates talking about how bad rich people are.
Wow.
And I'm like, if we're going to be punished for being rich in this country, then who's going to try to get up and work? I mean, kind of the whole point of it is
where are they going to get all of their money to give us, the rest of us, free stuff?
Exactly. Wealth tax
They don't think about these things.
It's not going to work, and no one will admit it, but I say it won't work. I mean, you'll admit it. Like,
right.
The reasonable
of
us will definitely admit that won't work. So speaking of things that we're outraged about, let's talk LeBron James. Okay, the entirety of my life of knowing about basketball, I have thought that he was an arrogant guy. And every single time I say he's arrogant, people say, oh, he can be because he's the best. He's justified in his arrogance because he's the best. Well, I feel really vindicated now that I've been saying he's the worst for so long.
Well, and the thing, I mean, it's not only that he's arrogant, but he's an idiot for this. Because think about it. If he had a week or so to see how all this China stuff played out. So even if you're not offended by how China treats its people,
which you should be, you had a week to realize that this is the wrong side of the issue to come down on. Bad message.
And where has he been for a week? Like, I'm out of touch. I don't know about things until like months after they happen. Yeah. Right. I have left Twitter. So if it was me going, oh, by the way, did you see all this China stuff with the NBA? People would be like, oh, yeah, that's Justin, typical, a week late. But for him to just now decide to weigh in is preposterous.
It's just insane. Going back to me thinking he's arrogant for a very long time, whenever I get that, and people say it's his brand. His brand is just kind of strut into a room and like flex his muscles and take his talents to South Beach or whatever he said. But if someone's brand is arrogant, commie, sympathizer, like I'm not buying that.
Well, I don't see him rushing to China to play for their version of the NBA.
Exactly. Well, and his tweet that said, me and my teammates, this was just so ridiculous, had a really difficult week. I'm like,
oh, so sad, you poor little Lakers.
You poor little rich boys. How about you go tell these Hong Kong protesters that you've had a really difficult week?
I think they should.
Imagine their lives. Yep. Imagine how difficult their weeks have been for the last few months since all of this got started. I mean,
moron.
It's such a moron and just so out of touch. I think he tries to take these stances on politics like he's so in touch and, he's speaking out against Trump because that's what he does and all these things. But he said that the Rockets guy, what was his name? He said that he was uninformed and out of touch. Okay, pot meat kettle. You know what I mean? Like, you can't call someone uninformed when you're the one
on the wrong side of the issue, weighing in a week late after it has become a total cluster for the NBA and with their biggest PR nightmare potentially ever. And yet he still waits a week and then weighs in on the wrong side of it.
Just like doubling down. I feel like he's just doubling down on this message that just didn't work. I mean, a USA Today commentator called it the most shameful point of his career.
That's awesome.
That is embarrassing for him.
Good for him. Good for that dude.
His brand has become just overnight communist sympathizer. I mean, what did the Chinese president say? People who rioted, their bones would be ground to dust or
Right.
something, that's the side of this issue.
That's where he wants to be, on that side of history.
Let him. That's embarrassing. Okay, I could keep talking forever, but now it's Justin's
That's
turn
my
to
time to
rant.
rant. We're doing a good job,
We're
like
doing a
switching
really
back
good
and forth.
job. So Justin is very upset because he just got a new car, which is not the reason he's upset, but the reason he's upset is he got this new car. Now he can finally listen to podcasts, and his favorite podcasts have gone on sabbatical, and it's just like such a first world problem. But
Well, it's a first world problem. Again, going back to me being late to the party for everything. I had my trusted
Classic.
Xterra for 11 years. I couldn't even charge my phone in my car, much less like if I wanted to listen to a podcast, I'd have to put my phone in the cup
So
holder
bad.
so that it would echo loud enough to hear it.
So bad.
But now I can like listen to it through Bluetooth. It's this amazing technology that's it's almost obsolete. That's right. So I get that, not really new. It's a 2015 car, but new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am now in the 21st century. And so my wife had been telling me about these podcasts that I should listen to. And I start getting into them every day coming to work. Every Little Thing, great podcast. If you've
Great.
never heard it,
Amazing.
you'll learn things like, where did pants originate? What does the TSA do with all of those things they seize from you?
I'm very interested.
Really
in that.
cool stuff. And then another one, what was Overheard at Nat Geo,
Love
really good
that,
podcast,
yes.
great history podcast. But like 3 weeks into getting my new car and going to work every day listening to podcasts, they're just not on anymore. And then I look the next day and it's not there, and I look the next day and it's not there. And I asked my wife, like, where did the podcasts go? She's like, well, they
Because
take.
Justin does not
I
read
heard they were like,
technology. Where did they go?
yeah, they were like taking a break. Overheard at Nat Geo was taking a sabbatical between season 1 and season 2. First of all, a season doesn't last 6 weeks. This isn't Game of Thrones, people.
No.
And also, why do you need to take a month off between quote unquote seasons to do a podcast when I didn't prepare a single moment for this other than knowing that I needed to rant about some things? I just came into the room and started ranting. And I know that you and Mark put some time into it and you
But
think in
pro tip,
advance.
It doesn't take that much.
It's not like you need to take a vacation after 6 weeks of doing a
Well,
podcast.
and if making a podcast is your full-time job, then like who gets to take a sabbatical from their
Yeah,
full-time job?
Exactly,
Like,
for 6 weeks or whatever, like several weeks, and just do your job.
just do your job.
Yeah.
I unrelated but kind of related, when Blink-182 went on their indefinite hiatus, that was like a trigger kind of warning for me. And now every single time they go on tour, I like go to the tours because I never know when they're going to go on hiatus again. We get like PTSD from this stuff.
It's the same way, like,
so triggered. You're going to be so triggered from this from here on out.
Well, they're finally back on, so we'll see for how long.
Okay, but have you gotten into Crime Junkie?
No, I just
Are you a true crime guy?
no.
Probably
Kara
not.
is, and it
No.
kind of annoys me.
Oh.
Like,
I've hit a
I
nerve.
just so much.
I've hit a nerve. I've learned very recently that I do a lot of things that his wife does that annoy him, and so I think I just need to.
I
Like,
just
keep
need
my
to get
mouth shut
together.
about it.
Yeah, just get together
We'll just
and
get together and just get it all.
don't drag me into the middle of it.
And leave you completely out of it.
leave me back in 1995.
Yeah, seriously. So all you podcast makers out there, you've got someone, you're on his list, and his list is not a good place to
Quit
be.
being lazy.
Quit being lazy. And LeBron James, quit talking, generally speaking. And Braves, be brave. And what else can we say?
The cowards be brave.
Cowards be brave. And I don't have anything to say
send
about
us
the
your-
debate,
you
but-
should-
Oh yeah, we want to know about team names that you think should be changed.
Yep.
Any team name that is not politically correct.
What's your PC team name?
We want to know what you would rename them, because obviously everybody's got to get into 2019. It's outrage culture time, people.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.